Alright, so in this video we're going to be talking about gut microbiome health, and if you want a better understanding of the information that I'm explaining here, you're going to read the book called The Microbiome Diet, The Mind-Gut Connection, and then you would also read Grain Brain. And some funny things from Grain Brain is like, are you eating a chicken or you're eating a walking, talking, clucking piece of grain? Because if you are what you eat, what do you think they're eating? Bunch of grains. Interesting, right? So some simple things, another research paper you're going to want to check out. This will all be linked in the microbiome document over here to the right or left, depending on what side you're watching this on. If this is YouTube, down below. If you're on the website, there's going to be a link over here. But that's going to give you the books that I just mentioned. And then an interesting research paper that talks about the bigger the belly, the smaller the brain. So obviously you are what you eat. So the biggest thing to think about is that when food goes into our mouths that we consciously choose to consume, this is why we want to read the mind-gut connection, so we can understand that this is a circle, that what we eat is how our neurological function is going to act. So this goes into our belly. So when you consume a very unhealthy diet, the gut microbiome community is obviously not going to be very balanced. I had somebody ask me a question yesterday. They said, why is it when I eat, 20 minutes later, I feel really hungry again? You can read the book called Fiber Fueled if you're looking to understand why when you consume food that you're hungry 30 minutes later. But what's happening is the glucose and the fiber slows down the glucose release into the blood. So basically, you have three options when you eat in a day. So when you eat, your insulin goes up and then your blood sugar falls really quickly. Now, if you introduce fiber, your insulin will go up and your blood sugar will fall kind of slowly over here. So it'll take just a little bit longer for you to get hungry again. And when you're looking at the gut microbiome, you got to realize when you're not consuming enough fiber, your glucose is going to be out of whack. So your gut microbiome community is going to have a very short shelf life. So most people, they wake up, they eat, they're hungry. Hold on, let's pull this up over here. So like the average human diet would be wake up, eat, and then we get hungry again, so we eat, and then we get hungry again, so we eat, and then we get hungry again, so we eat, and then it's time for bed, so we probably shouldn't eat before bedtime. So now, once you consume the food in your gut is then going to send signals to your brain. Your brain is what's going to help you perceive reality. You ever have a stomach ache and you really hate being around people? That is very real. Like lack of sleep, you're going to be irritable. A crappy diet, you're going to be irritable. And if you follow the fasting that we have, the wake up, don't eat, let your glycogen deplete, when you're going through intermetabolic switching, it's going to be very hard for you at first. So when you're trying to understand the microbiome diet, you would follow the 50 brain cell challenge. Kind of look at it this way. Like if your goal is to reach a healthy lifestyle, how do you think that's possible? So when you consume a food, think about a one ingredient food, we'll say an avocado versus cheesecake. So cheesecake has roughly about 35 plus ingredients in it. So imagine if you have 35 times the possibility to mess up your gut microbiome health versus one possibility to mess up your gut health. Which avocados and most people won't mess up their gut health. They have a very amazing dietary fiber to carbohydrate ratio. They got mono and polysaturated fats. They're a good healthy fat source. There's enough dietary fiber in there that if you were to consume it with carbohydrates, that it would slow down the insulin release to your blood. But think about this, your insulin release and the glucose. So think about this, right? If you consume cheesecake, you're taking 35 different possibilities to mess up your gut microbiome health and create all of this random diversity to shoot you off in all of these random directions. There's a reason why when people eat certain foods, they don't feel good. Like I've never eaten a single ingredient food and felt unhealthy. Like salads for the first time in my life. Holy crap, I can feel happy after I eat versus feeling like lethargic garbage. So when you're starting to think about gut health, it's just based on ingredients. It's a very, very simple start. One ingredient, one possible outcome, one possible destination, which is to arrive to health. I mean, coming from where I was, I used to eat Flamin' Hot Cheetos, Doritos, burritos, caffeine before bed, all of the terrible stuff that would really disrupt your gut microbiome health. And let me show you a little bit of the research. So please always do your own research. Don't just accept the fact that I've been studying this for a very long time and I give you the books and I give you the research links and I quantify all that information as authority to believe me. I mean, I've believed random strangers before in my life, and my life was better because of it. And then even when I went to dive into the resources, I was like, oh, dang, they're right. Well, I guess that's better that I know that they're right instead of wrong. But right here, there's research everywhere on the internet that you're more than welcome to find. This is from 2016. Like, imagine if people knew this stuff, okay? So it says, all right, observation and evidence suggests that the relationship may exist. So, may exist. You're going to realize once you start to read research that not a single paper is ever going to tell you this is the problem. They're going to be like, it's possible. Like, maybe if we look at more of this, there's suggestible evidence to conclude that this is maybe, possibly, maybe, possibly connected. It's always going to be like, they can't really say this is the problem. But if you watch the video at the bottom of this website where I reverse engineer the hidden mechanics of depression research paper, I can tell you for a fact that I've followed this stuff, and it is incredible the differences between actually following the research as if it were true versus being one of like, it's inconclusive. Yeah, inconclusive my ass. So evidence suggests that the relationship may exist between high glycemic index diets and the development of anxiety and depression symptoms. So right here, if they're putting BDNF amplifiers in SSRI medications and high levels of sugar lower your brain-derived neurotrophin factor, right there, I just go ahead and say, well, that's some pretty causation right there. But once again, these research papers, they're not allowed to conclude on anything because they'll probably end up getting taken and, removed. But however, no intervention studies accessing this relationship in psychiatric population have been completed. This is where I do my own research, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to wake up and eat, 100 grams of ice cream today, and then every 2 hours I'm going to consume shitty, crappy, terrible, refined carbohydrates and make my fiber consumption 0. And then I'm going to do that for a month and a half and see how I feel, and then I'm immediately going to shift 3-day fasting, introducing microbiome healthy foods, putting fiber consumption up to where it's supposed to be, and the shift you feel in your life is like, what the hell? It's as if almost like everyone's supposed to be consuming refined carbohydrates so they have anxiety and depression and never want to do anything with their lives. So the possibility of a causal link is unclear. So there's a 15-year-old female who presented concerns of generalized anxiety disorders and hypoglycemia symptoms. So this is where, like, low blood sugar, you feel anxiety, you're hangry, the Snickers commercial. Oh, you're not yourself whenever you're hungry. Yeah, because people that don't have the ability to properly process ketones as fuel, they are going to experience a aggression. It's normal. Like, it's why guys that drink alcohol get really aggressive. It's normal. It's part of physiology. It's science. So her diet consisted of primarily refined carbohydrates. So the addition to protein, fats, and fiber in her diet resulted in a substantial decrease in anxiety as well as a decrease in the severities of hyperglycemia symptoms. So right here you can see that if you're not introducing fiber to your diet and you're spiking your blood sugar, you're going to experience a bunch of problems. This is why I said read the book called The Mind-Gut Connection, so you can understand the connections between your belly and your brain. This is your belly right down here, this thing. Like, if it's bigger, your hippocampus is smaller. Your memory and learning center is smaller. Type 2 diabetes, more chances of dementia. Like, you're literally going to be forgetting your life. And you won't even know it's happening because it's dementia. It's like that thing where you're like, well, I don't know where the hell I'm at, but I like it that way. So dive into the research. Once again, don't just believe based on merit. Look at the research. I just wanted to show you this so you can see that there are research papers out there that talk about introducing fiber to your diet and helping your brain function better. So too much sugar, lower brain-derived neurotrophin factor. Hey, look at this. This person's suffering from anxiety and depression symptoms. That's interesting. So now when we come back to the drawing board, think of it this way, right? This is why we created the homeostatic line. This, definitely kind of straight line going across the screen right now. Yeah, that's pretty straight, isn't it? So most people in the morning, this is where the wake up, don't eat, let your glycogen deplete comes into play. So these are on the weight loss documents, right? So if this is the belly, right, the bigger the belly, and then brain, the smaller the brain. So when we're looking at this, we can see that when we consume carbohydrates in the morning, we're spiking our sugar levels, right? Which isn't a bad thing. Look, if you have a healthy diet, awesome, sweet, sounds good. Don't just believe that you shouldn't eat sugar in the morning. There is a lot of research behind insulin growth factor 1, and people that get older, they have better brain function the lower their insulin levels are. There is just a mountain of research that you're more than welcome to look into. I don't personally eat breakfast ever. I will never, ever eat breakfast a day in my life. That's just me. That's the life that I want to live, based on the life that I used to live. So when we're eating a high sugar breakfast in the morning, like I used to eat 2 sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffins from McDonald's, 2 orange juices, 2 hash browns, and probably a cookie. So where I came from, maybe not where you come from, but if you're eating fast food and all of those terrible items out there, they fail the 50 brain cell challenge. This is the bigger the belly, which is directly linked to our brain. This is the hippocampus. So reading the Mind-Gut Connection book is really important to further understand this information. So I just wanted you to have a good, clear understanding of what we're explaining here. So this is where we would be eating the refined carbohydrates. This would be spiking our blood sugar, and then we have no fiber. So the drop-off is going to be very aggressive. So when people are like, damn, I'm so hungry, I can't even think. Yeah, you're going to look up something called IMS, which is intermetabolic switching. So how does all of this tie into gut microbiome health? It's very, very simple. Remember, if you're eating 1 ingredient versus 35 ingredients, this means that 1 ingredient is going to cause 1 interaction. This other one is going to cause all this, weird, scribbly, my gut microbiome is absolutely garbo response. Because in a lot of foods, there's hidden additives that mess with your glycemic index. So when we're trying to follow that healthy line over here, this option, eating single ingredient healthy foods that are known to be nourishing to the gut microbiome, are key. We have a 24-page paper of healthy foods written by the gut restoration dietitian. If you've never ever suggested or tried maybe possibly doing a vegan diet, you might experience significant benefits. But the vegan diet, a lot of people have issues with their iron, a lot of people have issues with their B12. There's a lot of things that go into different diets and lifestyles that people choose. We like to write diet plans based off of gut microbiome health so we can give you accurate recommendations on pre and probiotics. We like to have your genetics on file because you might be literally missing 1 nutrient that absolutely changes your life. That's why you'll notice a lot of the heavy metal cleanses, they always have magnesium in them as well. So sometimes it's a little bit of a placebo effect. Like if you've been magnesium deficient, aka you don't take mag baths, which are like Epsom salt in the bath, the bioavailability absorption of magnesium in your mouth is rather low. So if you take a mag bath and you've never ever taken a mag bath and you try a supplement that has magnesium in it and you're like, whoa, everything has changed. I must have had tons of heavy metal, or you maybe were deficient in magnesium. So what would be our final takeaway from the microbiome video here? We would be very clear on whether or not we want to improve the quality of our lives by vibrating with some high vibration conversation and educating ourselves, because we're going to eat food for the rest of our lives. Like honestly, the fact that these hands in front of my face used to cause all of my problems is unreal. Like, these are my hands just wandering through the universe, just drinking alcohol, bags of Cheetos, like Cheeto dust all over here. And I was in a very bad place in my life. So if you're one of those people out there in the world who really don't understand gut health and how much your cognition is going to change when you start to pay attention to what you eat, I highly suggest reading the books, reading the research, really re-inoculating your gut microbiome health, because wherever you believe you are thinking-wise, imagine timesing that by 2 or by 10. It's as if you have never been able to think a clear thought in your life, at least for me. The other option is to have some low vibration conversation over here, continue to go out on the weekends, continue to eat all the unhealthy foods, and decrease the quality of our lives. This goes into epigenetics. This goes into whether or not we decide to produce offspring, because the quality of our lives are going to be screen capped. You could check out the book called The Telomere Effect, and then passed down to our children. And if we're trying to improve the overall quality of humanity, it's really important that we keep our gut health in check. So the last thing I want to leave you with here in this video is please check out the resources. Please feel free to read the books, and then check out something called Mind Your Gut and Keep Your Mind. which is a little saying that we created. It's up in the homeostatic line. As you can see right here, we got that homeostatic line. So over the next 5 years, you can either improve the quality of your life dramatically or decrease the quality of your life by simply not knowing the answers to the questions that you're going to be asking yourself on a daily basis. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and down below, if you're on my website, there's going to be more videos. If you're watching this video on YouTube, down below there's going to be some links. The website's going to have a button over here that talks about microbiome documents, and if you're on YouTube, feel free to click the whatever buttons that everyone tells you to click at the end of the videos. I think it's like the like button. Like, if you have any questions of videos you'd like me to do in the future, feel free to comment down below, and I will see you in the next video.